This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Sue Barton Senior Nurse eBook by Helen Dore Boylston. Senior year begins. Brewster, the dormitory for probationers and junior nurses, stands on the outer fringe of the acres of hospital buildings, and that afternoon in September, it was still with the stillness of an oven. The day nurses who were off duty were on the roof, stretched out in the shade of a great awning, where a wind from the river brought a suggestion of coolness. On the upper floors, the night nurses slept in flushed restlessness, with doors and windows wide open to catch the least stirring of air. Downstairs, in the little tea room at the end of the first-floor hallway, the sun crept under partly drawn shades and lay in blinding bars on the white tablecloth. Nora, the little Irish maid, glanced wearily at the half-empty pitcher of iced tea, put down the nurse's cap she was making, and rose from behind the table. The sleeves of her black silk uniform clung damply around her arms, but her tiny white apron and ruffled collar were starched to a smoothness that no humidity could impress. She picked up the pitcher, stepped out into the hall, and disappeared down a flight of stairs beside an elevator shaft. The deserted tea room was so silent that the timid approach of two very new probationers had almost the effect of a flurry. They carried pens and large black notebooks which they placed gingerly on a chair, and then stood eyeing a plate of sandwiches on the table. The taller of the two was almost abnormally thin, with sharp nose and pale, uncertain eyes. Her blue uniform hung lankly upon her. The other was short and pudgy, and there was a dew of perspiration on her round face. The thin probationer spoke first. "Maybe we better not, Mary," she said. "They might not like it." "Well, they won't miss one sandwich, and I'm starved." She was extending a plump hand toward the plate when there was a step behind her. She jerked her hand back with guilty haste and turned to encounter the amused eyes of a slender girl in the gray and white uniform of the student nurses. The probationers looked at her with some apprehension. You never knew in the hospital what the nurses were going to say next. Still, this one seemed nice, not the teasing kind, and she was, as the probationers agreed later, the prettiest thing they had ever seen. She stood easily, smiling at them, one hand buried deep in the pocket of her skirt. Her crinoline cap, so like an inverted teacup, rested on copper-red, soft curls. Her skin, except for a warm flush along the cheekbones, was transparently white, her features clean-cut and delicate. "Aren't you having any tea?" she asked in a clear, pleasant voice. "Where is the tea, anyway? Goodness! People must have been gulping it down like boa constrictors." She went to the stairs and called, "Nora, help, tea." Nora's voice floated up the well of the stairway. "Sure, and I'm comin'. Give a body time." The nurse laughed and returned to the probationers, who had been watching her, envying her the gray uniform with its fitted bodice and full skirt, the starched white bib and apron that looked so businesslike. But most of all, at that moment, they envied her short sleeves and turnover collar, open at the throat, for their uniforms had high collars, and long sleeves with 5-inch stiff cuffs. "Have a sandwich," the nurse said, offering them the plate. The plump probationer's fingers closed on, not one, but 3 sandwiches, and the nurse grinned. "I know just how you feel," she said. "But you'll get over being so ravenous after a while." Is it all right," the tall probationer asked, "for us to have tea here?" "Of course, it's for everybody, didn't you know? And do sit down. It makes me hot just to look at you standing there in all those cuffs." She added, explaining, "You don't have to rise for older nurses when you're off duty, you know. I mean, except for supervisors or graduates." She sat down herself in a wicker chair by the table, and after an instant of shy hesitation, the 2 probationers seated themselves side by side, prim in their blue and white. They were immensely flattered by her friendliness. "Do you like it here?" she inquired politely. "Oh yes," they chorused, and the lanky probationer added surprisingly, "It's so free here, isn't it?" The nurse looked startled.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.